Hello storytellers, I'm writer and artist Lex Slank, and this is Creator's Cut, where I talk about my continuing creative journey. Today I'm going to be speaking on the topic of rekindling your creative passion for writing. So if you are new here, welcome. If you are a regular, welcome back. Again, I'm going to be talking about rekindling your love for your writing project. And this actually came about through the fact that I am currently working on an edit for a story that I have been in the throes of for a very long time now. If you would like to learn more about that, see Creator's Cut episode 2. I'll link it in the description. But the basic thing is this is a fantasy story. Actually, that's it right there in that little binder. Well, not little, but binder. It's this big. But this is a fantasy story that I've been working on for a very long time and gone through a lot of struggles with. And in the middle of the editing, that is going very well, by the way, I started thinking about things that had sort of tripped me up over the years and the different struggles that I've had with this story and just with writing in general through different projects. And I asked myself the question, what is the biggest thing that steals my writing joy, that steals my creative passion for my projects, for my writing in general? What is it? There's, of course, many things that we each struggle with that can cause issues, of course. But I wanted to narrow down the main things that cause me to struggle, that cause me to feel less joy in my writing. And so I spent some time thinking about this and came to the conclusion that there are two major things that steal my writing joy. Today I'm only going to be talking about one of them because the second I actually want to get more into in another video. I want it to be its own separate thing so I can really go through it. But this first one is very important because if we allow this first one to trip us up, then we'll never even get to the second issue. So the first issue, the main issue that I actually realized was the biggest problem that I've had in my own creative journey that has just sucked the life out of my excitement for my projects and for my writing and for my creativity, is something that can be narrowed down to one of two phrases, and sometimes both. And that is, wait for it, I don't know what I'm doing. Another way to say this that I hear writers talk about all the time, might be a little bit more common than I don't know what I'm doing, is I'm not sure where this is going. Or worse, I don't know where this is going. And Kat, if you feel called out, I was thinking of you when I actually came to this conclusion. Give some love for Kat in the comments. Kat's my best friend, and I've talked about her in previous videos, and she's a big inspiration and a reason for a lot of these videos, actually. So give Kat some love. But she said this not that long ago. She actually started working on a project, and I'm really enjoying it. I like her writing. I know she's probably going to get on to me for saying that. Sorry, Kat. But she actually said after I read her latest chapter that I don't know where this is going. And I sat there thinking, yeah, I've said this so many times, haven't I? Like over and over again over the years. I don't know where this is going. And also the one that goes along with it, I don't know what I'm doing. And this sounds like something that shouldn't be that big of an issue, that big of a problem, because it's just us expressing doubt, right? The journey from the first draft to the finished product is a long journey. There's a lot that goes into writing a story or writing a screenplay or making a comic or whatever you happen to be writing and doing. There's a lot of work that goes into it. It's a long journey, a long process. And if you add publishing, that makes it even longer. But the issue, I think, here is that we take these words, this common phrase that we hear ourselves saying or other people saying, and just assume it's, it's just fear talking, it's just some insecurity, it's just writer's block, it's not that big of a deal, we'll get over it. And then we kind of ignore the fact that we're really being down on ourselves. We're really saying, I don't know what I'm doing. It's a trust issue. at the end of the day, when you say you don't know what you're doing and you don't know where it's going, you're basically saying you don't trust yourself. And that sounds like something that, oh, everyone deals with, which everyone does deal with it. But the issue is we treat it lightly. We treat the lack of trust in ourselves lightly. And that can lead to our writing joy being stolen. Because the fact of the matter is that this statement or these statements are not true. You know exactly what you're doing. You know exactly where it's going. Now, let me pause a second there. I'm not saying you know the whole story from the get-go, right? Because all of us, I don't care if you outline, if you don't outline, if you plot, you don't plot, plotter, pantser, plancer, whatever other terms they've come up with, whatever you are as far as writing process, we don't always know, we don't probably ever know exactly every single little detail until we get the book finished, right? Until we get the draft that we're happy with, that we can edit, until we get that back there. We aren't ever going to know everything up front. That's part of the process, is discovering what exactly the story is, where exactly it's going, how to put each scene together, what dialogue needs to be there. There's so many things in writing and editing that we just don't know until we get to it. And that's the process of writing. That's the journey. That's the excitement. It's fun to find out exactly where the story is going. But the thing is that doesn't mean that we don't know the story. And that sounds counterintuitive, but let me explain a little bit more. As I've said, writing takes a lot of time. You have to write draft after draft, you have to edit, and then if it goes to a publisher, you publish it yourself. There's a million other things to do. It is a long process, even just writing the book, even just writing a draft. If you get an idea and you decide to work on it, you're going to spend, we'll just say average, a year or 2, or 10, if you're like me with my current project, again referred to episode 2. Sometimes you do need to spend that much time on a project. So you're going to spend a lot of time on a project if you decide to actually work on it. So when you get an idea and you decide that, hey, I want to write this, I want to work on this, I want to see this come into reality, you know what you want the story to be. You might not know all the details, but you understand the heart of the story. Whatever the basic idea is, that spark of inspiration, that particular topic that you want to talk about, that thing that you just think is really cool, whatever that is, that's the heart of the story. And it connects to your initial idea, which is the thing that makes you say, hey, I want to spend 2 years of my life, maybe 10, maybe more, on this project. If you don't know what you're doing, that's a lot to dedicate yourself to. So the fact that you have decided to work on this project and that you've decided to put the time in, even if you are not sure you'll finish it, means that you know what you want the story to be. You know what you want to see come into reality. You might not know every single little thing that happens, and it will change massively over time, but the heart of the story is already there. The heart of the story is what draws you to it in the first place. The heart of the story is the thing that you want to see come to fruition, the thing that you want to present to the world, the thing that you care about. When you decide on a story, you know what that is, even if you can't put it into words. Even if it's just, I think it'd be really cool to have this story with these fancy swords, I want to see this kind of, battle in the story. I mean, some stories, that's what they are. I love a good sword and I love a good fight scene, so I'm okay with that. But it might be something really simple. But just the idea, whatever the initial idea is, whatever you think would be interesting, right? Whatever's been dropped into your imagination, that's the heart of the story, and you know what it is, so you know what you're doing. You're writing the story that you want to see come to reality. You're writing the thing that you think is interesting. You're saying, I'm okay with dedicating myself to this thing that is going to take lots of time. That takes courage, and that takes heart, and that takes dedication. That's what you're doing. You are putting forth all of those things. You are exercising all of those things over and over again to get the project done. You know what you're doing. You also know where the story is going. I think every time we come up with an idea or concept, there is one key point in the story that we think of, whether it's the end or the beginning or just a particular scene. We know some things that we want in the story, that we want to see come to life again, and that we want to see happen. We're not going to know exactly how to get there, but we have something in mind. That's what you're working towards. That's where the story is going. And more importantly than that, the story is going to the next scene. It's going to the end. It's going to that idea that you have for the ballroom scene or this dance or this fight or whatever it happens to be. It's going to that. Might it go somewhere else afterwards? Probably. It's your job as the writer to go on the journey to get there, not to know absolutely everything up front. Because let's be honest, that would make writing boring. I can liken this to, say, The Hobbit. Bilbo thinks he's going on a journey to do this specific thing. And well, he's not completely wrong. But think of all the things that happened on the way to get there. Not what he was expecting at all. But we wouldn't have the same story if things weren't surprising. And for the writer, it needs to be surprising too. Because if it's not surprising to you and it's not fun to you, it won't be fun to the reader. You are going to change your mind in the middle of things. Your characters are going to change their mind in the middle of things. Characters are living, breathing things even though they don't physically exist. And stories are living, breathing things even though they exist only on paper. That sounds absolutely insane to someone who's not a writer, but since we're all writers here, we all know that the story has a mind of its own. And getting to know the story is part of the journey. Getting to know the characters is part of the journey. It's part of the excitement. In order to keep our writing joy, we as writers have to stop trying to tell ourselves that we need to know everything up front and that it needs to be about the specifics up front, and just let ourselves sit and write and figure out the story. And then go in and edit and figure out what needs to be changed and what needs to be fine-tuned and all of that. Leave that for later. Because if you don't, you're going to feel like you don't know what you're doing. This is a process. We can't just smash it all together and pretend that it's going to be over in a few months or a few weeks or a few days, and that there's no journey to it, that there's no traveling, that there's no discovery. Again, that would be boring. And it's also extremely stressful. That is going to steal your writing joy. It's guaranteed. You put that much pressure on yourself in your first draft or even your second draft, or even as you're editing, you're going to discover things as you edit. You're going to write down, okay, I need to fix this during my next edit. I need to go through this again. That's part of the journey. And eventually, you will get to the point where you have a whole product that you're just happy with. A whole story that is not perfect, but great. But you have to let yourself go through the journey to get there. You know what you're doing. You're writing. And you know where the story is going. It's going to the end. It is all a matter of trust. We have to be able to trust ourselves to get from point A to point B, or we're never going to finish the story. We have to trust that we have the skills and we've built up the skills, or we're building the skills to be able to write a great story. We have to trust that God is working through us to put this story out into the world and make it something beautiful, and that the tools and the skills that He's given us are enough for us to be able to do what we need to do. We have to trust that when we need to learn new things and when we need to step outside our comfort zone, we can do so because we're dedicated and because we've built up skills before now that we can continue to use and improve on. We have to trust that even if this story isn't completed, even if it was just an exercise, even if I have to rewrite it, it taught me something and it was part of my own personal journey. And also, if you are going to finish the story, that, well, somebody's going to love it and need to read it and be inspired by it and get something great out of it. In short, you kind of have to trust the process. You have to trust that you do know what you're doing and that you do know where the story is going, and that all of the specifics and learning curves in the middle are just part of the journey and that they're fun instead of frustrating. When we can rewire our thinking a little bit to make it sound like an adventure, which it is, instead of drudgery just to get to the end, or that it's just automatically going to stall in the middle because we're not quite sure everything that happens. We're a lot happier and we can have fun writing, which is kind of the point. You need to have fun when you're making your story so that readers can have fun reading it or watching it. So, dear writer, you do know what you're doing and you do know where the story is going. Even if you don't know all of the specifics, just have fun with the journey. Let yourself take every step forward, one step at a time, and don't try to cram everything into 1 week. Know that it takes time and that there's going to be plenty of curves on the road, but that you might end up somewhere really interesting that you weren't quite expecting to get to, but it still fits with the heart of your story. So I hope this was helpful to you. Please leave a comment and let me know what you struggle with the most as far as writing and what advice you might have for gaining your joy back. I'm just going to give a quick update about myself and kind of where I'm at. I'm back in my normal office, back to walking around. My foot is healing well. Still working on the edit, getting close to being at a good point. Very happy with it. Super excited about it. Just kind of trying to get everything put together. I also recently launched a new website, so you can find the link for that in my profile. It's lexlinkcreative.com. Go check it out. I'm still working on my new video series, which I am hoping to launch sometime in the summer. I will keep you all updated about that. And next month I will be going to my writing conference that I've been looking forward to. So we'll be doing a special video for that coming in June. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do, and please leave a like and share this video with anyone you think that it might be helpful to. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time. Continue creating, have fun writing, and keep your writing joy. Bye!